Okay, how we doing, guys? Now we've written 2 lessons. Hopefully that went well for you. Welcome back to my humble abode. In case you forgot, I'm James Williams, by the way. And so hopefully your 2 lessons went well. Hopefully you had a chance to compare the checklist of both of them and kind of revise those and clean those up. And so we want to take a little bit of time here at the end of this PD to talk about the pitfalls that come with block scheduling, as well as some classroom management suggestions and techniques that might help. I went ahead and made a list of some things that we've heard complaints and things that people deal with when they're doing block scheduling. And so I wanted to offer some advice to you as far as how to deal with that stuff. And then we're going to give you a little bit of time to actually kind of write up what your plan is going to be to deal with these particular issues. So a big one is sleeping. It is such a long class period that if you don't keep the class moving, if you don't break it up into 15, 20-minute sections, if you give the kids an hour to do something, a lot of times it's going to be just like standardized testing. You're going to have kids putting their head down and giving up. There's danger of falling behind. It is very, very, very easy to get caught up on one subject and then not move on to your second topic for the day. Okay. When you're doing 45-minute class periods, at the end of class, if the kids don't have it, they leave. And so you can be like, okay, today didn't go so well. Tomorrow we'll do the next topic. Hopefully that'll be better. And if they have questions, they'll email me or come in at lunch or post it on the discussion board or whatever. But because when that first 45 minutes is over, you have a whole other 45 minutes right then, and the kids haven't gone anywhere, and they haven't gotten it yet. It's very tempting to be like, you know what? We'll go ahead and cover that second topic later. Let's go ahead and stay right here. All right, and we get this nagging as good teachers and people that care that the kids are learning, and we really want to stop, and we feel obligated to stop. And so you really have to be careful with that. If you do that, once a week, by the end of the first 6 weeks, you're already a week behind or 2 weeks behind, and it doesn't get any better. I mentioned when you were creating your calendar for the AV blocks for the first 6 weeks, I have a very hard line. At the end of the 6 weeks, I'm lockstep by the end of the 6 weeks. I might fall behind on one particular day because the lesson didn't go well. But then literally the next week or so, all I'm doing is trying to figure out how to make up that day. Okay? And so for me, at the end of the 6 weeks, the first day of the next 6 weeks is always going to be whatever that first day is supposed to be. There is no carrying that deficit in to the next 6 weeks. Okay? If you're behind at the end of the first 6 weeks, you're going to be even further behind at the end of the second 6 weeks, even further behind at the end of the third 6 weeks, and things just aren't going to go well. Your kids aren't going to do well. They're going to feel frustrated. They're going to talk to their friends in other classes, and the other class, oh yeah, we're learning about this, we're learning about that, and oh yeah, I learned about that last month. You're just now doing that, and you don't want to put that on the kids. It's not fair to them. It's not fair to you. You're going to be frustrated. It's just not going to go well. So please, 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 please move on already. Okay, don't just sit there and beat a dead lesson. All right, it's not a good idea. Retention. I have heard teachers complain that, hey, I'm not seeing these kids every day. I saw this kid on Monday, and by Wednesday they've forgotten everything. So really, this is kind of, you have to figure out how you're going to deal with this, okay? Personal opinion, if you talk to them on Monday and they don't know it by Wednesday, they probably wouldn't have known it on Tuesday either. I'm just being honest. Like, it's not that they forgot it that fast, they never learned it in the first place, okay? So if your kids are struggling that hardcore with retention, you need to come up with some ideas on how to combat that, okay? Whether you're having them doing flashcards or Quizlets or online assignments or a group discussion board or something. There's a million different options. There are different ways to memorize stuff. You can teach about memory palaces, whatever. There's got to be some way that you can get your kids to start to retain the information. Maybe you can make it relevant to them. Just an idea. Another thing that you need to deal with is food and bathroom passes. It's 90 minutes. You're going to have some kids that are diabetic. You're going to have kids that have low blood sugar. You're going to have athletes. 90 minutes is a long time to go. They don't have passing periods. It's not like you can say, hey, I don't allow you to go to the bathroom or food in my class. Now, let me clarify. You can say that, but understand that they're only getting 3 times that day, or really, if you're going to lunch in between, maybe once in the morning, 5 minutes between first and second period before they have lunch, and then 5 minutes in the afternoon, and that's it. That's for their bathrooms, and that's for everybody in the entire building's bathrooms, So the bathrooms are open half the amount of time they would be on a 45-minute schedule. It's nice, it means you have that extra time, but you do have to consider that. So you might have to think about, hey, do I need to come up with some kind of system, maybe be a little more forgiving on the bathroom passes? Maybe they can have 1 to 6 weeks or whatever. Everybody's different. I would tell you my personal rule for bathroom passes, and this is just me. Our building has a strict rule for first 15, last 15, nobody in the halls. Meaning in a 90-minute period, the first 15 minutes and the last 15 minutes, nobody's allowed in the halls. So there's an hour in between there. My rule for bathroom passes, and this is just me personally, this is not what you have to do, but this is just what I do, is that I actually don't care. A kid can go to the bathroom every single day. I don't care. I allow one person out of the room at a time. That's it, just one person. Okay. Now, if they take too long and that becomes an issue, other people are waiting, then okay, maybe that person doesn't get to go anymore. They get grounded, so to speak, and I'll ground them for a couple weeks. They're not allowed to leave the room. But I don't care. If you have a kid that needs to go to the bathroom every day, I don't want to worry about that, so I will let them go every day as long as it's not during my instruction. So remember, I had the time frame up here for when you were doing your lessons. When it says teach, they don't go anywhere. Okay, they have to take their bathroom time out of their work time, and it means basically they have more homework. And so again, that's what I do. You can do whatever you feel justified to do. Just keep in mind, 90 minutes is a long time for some of these kids to go without a drink of water, to go without going to the bathroom, to go without food. And you can choose to do that, but just know it's a little harder with that. Technology, 90 minutes is also a long time to go without checking their phones and stuff. Yeah, I don't care. I will tell you what my building did, what my school did last year, which worked phenomenal. And I say my building, my department, shall we put it that way, the math department at my school. We actually took boxes, the old calculator boxes that held 30 TI Inspires, and we put 30 student cell phones in there and locked them up at the beginning of class and then opened them back up at the end of class. And it was amazing. Not a single Snapchat was sent, not a single video was watched, music wasn't listened to. The first week was a little hard, but after that, the kids really kind of just got used to it. I did collect 3 or 4 extra phones because, John happened to have 2 phones that day. And so, that happens, but you deal with that as it comes. But in general, it made a much better environment, if you will, as far as technology goes. But you need to think about that. How am I going to deal with technology? Too long for stand and deliver. I talked to you about the idea that I'm not going to make these videos long, or at least I'm going to try not to make these videos long. You should do the same thing. You should have the same grace for your students, okay? Don't stand up there for 90 minutes and expect them to listen to you. You're just not that funny. I'm not either. It's okay. I'm not going to stand here for 90 minutes. So, too long to stand and deliver it is. 90 minutes. Don't just stand there, okay? Make sure you break it up. If stand and deliver is how you teach, that's fine, but do it in a 15-minute increment and then have them do some work. Okay, you don't have to teach them everything they need to know all at once. You can teach them a little chunk and have them do some problems. Teach a chunk and have them do some problems. And then students will take as long as you give them. If you give your kids, if you're like, hey, here's 10 minutes of what we're going to be doing today, and then you have 80 minutes to work on the problems, they're going to take 80 minutes to work on the problems. Half of them are going to fall asleep. You're going to have a lot of retention issues and things like that because they're basically waiting for the smart kid over in the corner to finish so that he can airdrop the answers. They're going to take as long as you give them. Okay, so keep that in mind. If you give them 20 minutes, that's what they're going to take. If you give them 10 minutes, that's what they're going to take. One thing that I've done in the past is I'll use the Promethean board, and there's actually a timer function in the Promethean software, and you can put a nice big timer up on the board so they can see it. And they tend to work, they tend to get a little more pressure from that. Now, sometimes you can have grace. Maybe you know something's going to take 15 minutes, but you set the timer for 10 minutes or 12 minutes, and then you're like, y'all are working so hard, I'm going to go ahead and add a few minutes. And who knows, they might surprise you. They might be done after 12 minutes. That's just an idea, okay? So what I want you to do over the next, let's say, 10 to 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, is I want you to take some time to personally develop your classroom management plan for block scheduling. What is it going to look like for you for bathroom passes, for technology, for food in your classroom, for things like that, all right? And so, again, if you would create your own plan. Thank you.